Are you feeling ready for Christmas? Do you need some gift ideas? If so, I've got you covered because I've got 10 DIY gift ideas for you that people will actually want for Christmas. So let's get started. What? There's a poinsettia growing out of my head? No. I'm just kidding. My name is Natalie Callahan and I just like to get a little festive for these Christmas gift idea videos, and I'm so excited to get started. So let's get into it with my first DIY, and that is a customized canvas tote bag. So I have this canvas tote bag here and it's plain old Jane. And we're gonna make it kind of have like a boho flair and customize it. I feel like gift ideas that are really personalized are not only meaningful, but something that a person would actually like to use. I also have this canvas drop cloth that I've been cutting away for, I don't know, 1 to 2 years, and it still has plenty here. And we're gonna just cut off a little square of it. And we are going to put a person's name on it. Now, I didn't want to advertise somebody's full name on my channel, so I'm just going to make this one for me. Who says we can't have Christmas gifts for ourselves, right? I'm just kidding. So what we're going to do is you are going to take some kind of typewriter font. The font that I used is called Special Elite, and I used it in a 105 point size. Now I taped my canvas square down to my craft table to hold it nice and secure into place while I worked. Then you are going to want to take your printed out name and tape it down to the table on the one side to hold it into place. And then you are going to place a piece of graphite paper underneath, and you're going to very carefully trace this onto your canvas square. You may need to go over areas more than once, so just lift up your piece of paper and check. That's why the tape comes in handy. Then once you have your name traced on, you are going to take a fresh Sharpie and fill this in. Now I like this better than paint because it really does have that ink-like feel that you would get from a typewriter. But looking back, I should have put a piece of paper or something underneath my canvas because it did end up bleeding a little bit onto my craft table, which is not the end of the world for me because I do paint the top of my table occasionally, but you definitely would not want that to happen to your dining table. Now all we're going to do is make sure everything is nice and ironed. Then we are going to pin it to the center of our bag and stitch around all 4 sides, leaving a little bit room for it to continue to fray. I kind of like this look. Now you could just leave it like this, and I actually think it's kind of cute all alone. Or you could add any embellishments that you like by way of lace or other trims or maybe even some rosettes. But I decided to add a couple of tassels to mine. And I just took some of this Dollar Tree twine. Now the color didn't match perfectly, so you might want to use something that's a little bit closer match than I did. But I don't mind in the end how it looks. And all I did is I took a template out of some cardboard, and I think it was about 3 inches in size, and I wrapped the baker's twine around it 50 times, and then you cut it off. And then you're going to slide in another string and tie a knot and leave some excess. And then near the bottom, cut through all of those layers. Next up, you're going to wrap some more twine around the whole tassel about 7 or 8 times, and then you're going to tie a double or triple knot. And then I just left the excess long enough to kind of blend in with the rest of the tassel. Then you're gonna give the whole tassel a little haircut. Now I ended up making 2 of these, and then I take them and tie them to the handle of the bag, staggering them a little bit, and then I trimmed off the excess of that. Now this is a very cute BOHO tote bag that cost me less than $5 to make and is not only functional but so cute. I think anybody would love this. You could do it for a teacher or a friend or anybody really, and you can never have enough of these types of bags as far as I'm concerned, and especially one that has your name on it. So I don't know, what do you think of this gift? All right, so if you follow my channel, obviously I like to do a lot of serving trays and cake stands and things like that. So I've got another one for you today. I have this wooden candle stand that I picked up at Michael's, and I always wait for these wood items to go on 50% off sale. So I think it originally is $5.99 and I got it for $3. And then at Lowe's, I actually found this little wood round. This is smaller than the wood rounds that I use for a lot in decor, but it was a really good size and it's still kind of substantial. It's 12 inches. And all we're gonna do is we're gonna take my favorite glue combo and we're gonna use that E6000 and Gorilla Hot Glue, and we are going to glue our circle to the center of our candlestick, and we're going to let that dry. So as you can see, this makes a pretty good foundation, but in and of itself, it's a little plain, and we're gonna dress it up right now. And what I have is some metal lace. I don't know if you've seen this online, but they also sell it at Hobby Lobby, and I thought it would look really cool if we just took some of this metal lace and added it as like a trim. So to attach our metal lace, I'm gonna use a tiny bit of E6000, but I'm also going to use my staple gun that does little pin nails, little tiny nails, and this was not very expensive, and it comes in so handy when you're trying to do little things and you don't want to have to take a little hammer and nail and like tap 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 and try not to hit your thumb, especially with like these tiny little nails. So this will come in really handy. So you're going to make sure you want to be really aligned and just press in and pull the trigger and put in your nail, and we'll just put a couple of those all the way around, and then between that and the E6000, you are going to be golden as far as it being sturdy. Now we can't leave it unfinished, and I thought it would be more complicated to take out a brush and brush it with chalk paint. It just would take a little bit of time, and we are in a busy time of year. It's hectic, so I thought it would make more sense to just spray on some matte white spray paint. And so we're just going to take this outside, spray it on, and then we're going to just distress this because this is meant to be kind of like farmhouse, kind of rustic and beautiful, and I love the white color. Now what I will say is I don't really know how food safe this would be. It's meant to be more decorative. It would be totally fine putting cupcakes on it that have kind of a liner, and if you wanted to use it as an actual cake stand, I would just put something underneath it to kind of line it. But you could put candles on it, you could put a lot of different things on it, and I still think this is a very versatile piece. I would love to receive something like this, so I think this would make a really good gift idea. I hope you do too. For this next handmade gift idea, I think this has so much versatility, and it is another sewing project, but it is so simple, pun intended. A beginner sewer could totally take on this project, I promise. So we are going to be making an infinity scarf. So I just kind of raided my fabric stash, and I have some Sherpa fleece, which is super soft and it would be so warm. I've got this flannel that's very Christmassy. I think the two of these together would look really awesome. It's a little warm for here in Florida. There's a lot of versatility in it. You could do whatever fabric that works for their personality, the kind of their style, their taste. But I'm gonna have a little bit of fun. I have a lot of different fabrics here. I've got two different kinds of red and black buffalo check that are super cute. One's a little bit smaller, one's a little bit bigger. I've got a little animal print, a little cheetah. I love that. I think it's so cute. I'm actually gonna take the large red and black buffalo check, and I am gonna combine it with cheetah. Now, I know that that seems like a little bit crazy, but I promise you, the combination actually really works. But again, you can use whatever fabric, whatever works for you. What I really like about using a jersey knit is you don't really need to finish the hems, because a knit fabric does not fray, which is awesome. So you can skip that step. It's super, super soft. And so all we're gonna do is we're gonna take the entire width of this fabric, and we're gonna cut 9 inches of each. So you need a total of about a half a yard per scarf, because you do 9 inches and 9 inches and the total width. Once we've got our lengths cut out, we're gonna sew down the long sides. Now this next part is a tad tricky to explain, but it's pretty easy to do, so just watch what I'm doing here. Once you turn right sides out, you're going to take one side and put right sides together and match it up and pin it really well. And then continue pinning around until it's kind of hard to pin anymore. And that, I hope that makes sense. It's going to end up leaving like a 2 to 3 inch opening, and you're going to take that to your sewing machine and sew all the way around as far as you can. And then you're going to pull that out and be left with a couple inch area that you're going to need to hand stitch shut. What I do to hand stitch is called a channel stitch. I like this one because it's pretty hidden from view when you're done, but you could definitely do a whip stitch if you like. So about a half a yard worth of this fabric was maybe $3 to $4, and for $3 to $4 you have a handmade gift that is so cute, so stylish, functional, and that makes a great gift. What do you think? So for our next DIY gift idea, we are going to be making some fabric bowl covers. And I thought this would be a really good idea because, you know, it helps us cut down on waste. But who wouldn't like to open up their fridge and see some really cute darling covers for their food? I know I would. So I actually raided my fabric stash and I had this black and white buffalo check that I thought would be really cute. You can use whatever fabric you like. You could even make it holiday themed if you want. Then you're going to pull out a couple of bowls in different sizes if you want to make them a set, or maybe you are only making one. So just get out a size of bowl that looks like it would be good for anybody and use this as your template. So what we're going to do is we are going to lay out our fabric and have it the right side, which is the good side, facing down. And then all we're going to do is we're going to take our bowl and lay it down on top of our fabric. Then you're going to need like some way to mark it. You can use a fabric pen like I'm going to use here. And we are going to mark 2 inches around the bowl, all the way around. Then you're going to kind of connect the dots, I guess. So then we're going to just cut all the way around and you're going to have a circle. And I just cut my circle out using pinking shears because then I don't have to finish the edges, which saves me time. And that's important this time of year. Then we're going to add some trim to it, and I thought it would be really fun to add something a little fun. So I got this red rickrack that I thought would look really cute on the border. And then we're going to add our trim. Then we're going to take some 1/4 inch elastic and we are going to take that and wrap that around our bowl, kind of up top, to get the dimensions of what we need. Then we're going to subtract 2 inches off that. Once we've got that, we're going to make a cut, and then I'm going to just stitch this together with a little zigzag stitch so we have now a round loop. Then what we're going to do is we're going to want to fold our circle in half, put some pins in there to mark that half, and then you're going to fold it in half again and you're going to put pins in that to mark the quarter. So you've got 4 spots. Now you're going to kind of take that and evenly space out the elastic so that you can evenly space it as you sew it on, because you're going to want to stretch it so it gathers in. And then you're going to want to use like a zigzag stitch so that when it stretches, it doesn't break the stitch. And this is really important, so it will give you that give. And we're going to stitch that on there so it gathers up. And then you're left with this really adorable fabric cover that somebody could put on their bowl to keep food fresh, and then they can just wash it when they're done. What do you think of this? Is this a gift you would like to receive? Did you know that you can grow a loofah? I didn't, and you can grow these, and my friend Stacy actually grew this and gave it to me. We are going to take this loofah that Stacy grew and turn it into some fun Christmas gifts. But if you aren't growing your own loofahs, isn't everybody growing their own loofahs? If you're not growing your own loofahs, they're pretty inexpensive to get. You can order them on Amazon. You can find them pretty much everywhere. So you will be able to find this in a store and not have to grow your own. I've got two different kinds of soap. I've got a clear glycerin soap, and then I've got a white soap. And we are going to attempt to make this loofah look like a peppermint candy. I know. So we're gonna go down in the kitchen and make this soap. You are going to want to follow the directions of the package of the glycerin, but I cut 8 squares of glycerin soap base and I gradually melted it down. Then I added drops of red dye until I was happy with the color. Next, I poured it into the muffin tin. If you have a silicone muffin pan, this would definitely work a little bit better. I tossed this into my fridge to cool while I cut the loofah down into approximately 1/2 inch sections, which I totally eyeballed. Then I took the red soap out of the fridge and cut it like a pie until I had 8 pieces. Then I took 4 pieces and created a star pattern as seen here. Then I took about 6 to 8 inches of twine and ran it through one of the holes in the loofah and tied it in a knot. This will make it convenient to hang in your shower. Then we set that on top of the red pieces, which is going to make about 8 bars for me, but you could adjust the amounts and make larger batches if you like. Place this all in the freezer and get it really cold while we melt down 16 squares of white soap base in the microwave. I do this in 15 to 30 second increments until it's melted down. Let it set for a couple of minutes and then add peppermint essential oil, about 24 to 30 drops, or whatever level of scent you like. I then decided it would be better to have it in a container with a spout, so I switched it out. Then pull out your freezing cold muffin tin. Putting it in the freezer will help the red soap pieces hold their shape while you pour the warm white soap over the top. Now you can see when I get to the end and the last soap, it kind of firmed up before I poured it, so it ends up looking a little funny. So any of you pro soap makers out there, please tell me what I did wrong here. My best guess is I waited a little too long to pour, but I have 7 others that turned out just fine, so I am happy. This is only my second time making soap, and I think you can see that you don't have to be a pro here to get the job done. Pop these soaps back into the fridge or freezer and let it set for about 20 to 30 minutes, then gently pop them out by tugging on the twine. If you have any white that covers up the red glycerin soap, you can simply cut that off with a sharp knife. Then I wrapped these up like little peppermint candies, and voila! Aren't these cute? They almost look good enough to eat, but I wouldn't. What do you think of this as a gift idea? So I wanted to briefly tell you a little bit about Antique Candle Company. Now this is not one of the 10 DIYs, but it is DIY'd and hand poured by somebody right here in the USA. I love them. They come in a cute little farmhouse style jar with like an antique lid, and they have a whole bunch of Christmas scents right now. This one's homemade gingerbread, and it is really yummy smelling. And then they have like this little Christmas set that has Tree Farm, Good Tidings, homemade gingerbread, and Christmas Day, which happens to be one of my favorite scents of theirs. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about Antique Candle Company, I'll put a link in the description box below. So I picked up these little Irish mugs at the Dollar Tree. I think they're really cute. I think that they'd look adorable with hot cocoa in it, but I wanted to make them a little bit more special. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna take some of these poster stickers that you can pick up at the Dollar Tree, and we're gonna use them kind of as a stencil. So what you're gonna wanna do is cut out the letter of the last name of the person you're giving it to, or if you want to do it by kind of the first initial of everybody in your family, or however you want to do this, you're going to take the letter of the initial and you're going to take some scissors and cut that letter out, leaving as much wiggle room as possible. Then we're going to remove the actual sticker and set that aside because we're not going to actually be using it, because we're using this as a stencil, so we want the inside of it. You're going to want to take some painter's tape and kind of tape off the edges so it gives you a little bit more wiggle room on this next part, because what we're going to do is we are going to etch the glass. I was a little intimidated to do this the first time I did it, but it's actually not scary at all. And what you're going to need is some of this armor etch, and you're just going to take a paintbrush and put it on there kind of thick and let it sit for like 15 minutes and etch the glass. If you feel like an area's kind of moved a little bit or whatever, then you can just add, during that 15 minutes, just kind of tap it over and kind of fill it. And then what we're gonna do is go to the sink and rinse that off with a little soap and use a paper towel and just kind of rinse that off, and you have their initial etched on this glass mug. And isn't it so cute? You could give it to a teacher. I was told though, teachers don't want mugs. They get so many mugs, no more mugs. So don't give it to a teacher, give it to a friend. All you teachers out there, let me know in the comment section below if you're tired of getting mugs or if you'd really like one of these. Do you need another mug? Do you want this mug? Let me know. Now, I've been seeing on Pinterest, and it's kind of a new thing that I hadn't ever seen before, these hot chocolate bombs. It's the bomb. Anyways, I thought that would be really cute to make. So I got one of these molds, and it's kind of like a silicone tea cake mold that's in the shape of a dome. I took about a cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips and melted them in the microwave. This didn't take long, maybe 30 seconds to a minute at the most, and you want to make sure it gets hot enough but not fully melt, and then you stir it the rest of the way until all the chocolate chips are melted smooth, because you don't want to burn it. Then you scoop out some of your melted chocolate and take a spoon and spread it out on the inside of your mold, trying to cover it fully while still leaving it hollow enough to put things in. Then we're going to pop it into the refrigerator or freezer to make it very cold. We're gonna make sure it's nice and cold and then remove it. Then you're gonna just take your favorite hot chocolate mix and maybe crush up some candy cane and maybe even put sprinkles and fill in the center. Then you're going to join them together, and I did this by taking a lighter and just heating up one of the edges of the chocolates, and I put them together. Now you may want to have a little extra chocolate on hand as well to kind of fill it in and make it stick, and you may also want to have your hands a little cold, because I found that my hands wanted to melt the chocolate when I handled it, which created some problems. But overall, I was very happy with how they turned out. And you could add some red and green drizzle chocolate as well as sprinkles on top, however you want to embellish it, or you could just leave them plain. Now it's time to make some stir sticks to go with it. At Dollar Tree, they have these little packs of wooden stickers. You can use whatever shape you want, but I really thought that the little snowflake was really cute. All we're gonna do is take one of those wood snowflakes and glue it to a popsicle stick, and then you end up with a really adorable stirring stick. And you can just kind of set that in your mug and have that as a part of your little gift. Now I just wanted to demonstrate how to do the hot chocolate bomb. So the way they do it is you heat up some hot milk and pour it over the bomb, and it kind of melts and explodes inside the hot chocolate mug, and I thought that was so much fun. Not only was this a lot of fun, it tastes really yummy with the melted chocolate as well. So this is a winner, I think. Now, 2020 has been quite the year, wouldn't you agree? And an interesting year. I like to try to find joy and the good in everything that I possibly can. Focus on the good and then throw away the rest. That's my mantra. And so what I thought for this next DIY is doing a 2021 memory jar, because I think had I done this year, would have been actually really meaningful, and I think that it will be really good for next year. So you're gonna need a jar. You don't need one this big. You could use a canning jar. You could go to the Dollar Tree. They have cute jars there. Whatever kind of empty clear glass jar you want. This one kind of has a farmhouse vibe. I thought it was kind of cute, and it's one that I've had forever. Then I am providing in the description box below a printable, and it says 2021 Happy Memories. So again, we're going to be focusing on good and happy memories. So, and on the back side it says, fill this jar with your favorite happy memories throughout the year. And then on New Year's Eve, empty out the jar and enjoy reading all of your happy memories for the year. I thought this would be a really fun activity to do, and so I thought it would make a really fun gift idea. So you're going to need some pens. You're going to need some little mini notebooks. And what we're going to do is we're going to attach these printables to these chalkboard gift tags that are round that you can get at the Dollar Tree right now. They're pretty easy to come by. If not, you could totally make something out of some cardboard and just cut them out. It's not that hard. But this was kind of designed to go with this, but there's flexibility. This set makes 6 and this comes in a pack of 6, so it's actually works out really good. Now you're gonna need a mini tote bag to hold your notebook and your pen for people to write their happy memories on. Now, I decided to make my tote bag out of the same fabric we made the bowl covers in, and it's a pretty simple process. All you need to do is lay your notebook down and fold your fabric over to make sure you have enough. Then cut it out. Then we're going to sew down the sides, leaving an opening on one side of the bag. And creating a pocket for you to run some ribbon through, as you see me doing here, which you can easily do with a safety pin, and once you get it through, tie the knot on the end and you have a simple tote bag. But you don't have to make your tote bag. You can also purchase them for pretty inexpensive as well. I've seen them on Amazon. I've seen them in the wedding section of craft stores. Then you just toss in a pen and a notepads into the bag, and you can just loop on your descriptive tag to the bag. And then my ribbon was actually long enough that I could slip the loop over the top of the jar and just simply hang it. Now I wanted to make mine a little cute since it is a gift, so I just took some buffalo plaid ribbon that matches the bag I made and I already had on hand, and I tied a bow and then tucked some Christmas greens into the ribbon. But you could embellish your jar however you like. They have everything they need to write their little happy memories. You can also throw in pictures, ticket stubs, whatever you want into this jar, and at the end of the year you get to look back at all of the wonderful things that happened to you in the year and count all of your many, many blessings and many happy memories. And I just love that. I think focusing on the good is always the way to go. What do you think? Do you think this is a good gift idea? Okay, so for our next DIY, we are going to be making a monogrammed cutting board. I love cutting boards. They're handy to have around, and I think customizing them makes them really special. And we are going to monogram this one. Now, I picked up a whole bunch of these last year for $4.99 at, I think it was TJ Maxx or Home Goods. This one's going to be so easy to do, I promise. So what we're going to do is we're going to take those same stickers that we used to monogram the glasses, and it's kind of a similar concept as that, except for we're doing it on a cutting board and we're using a little different technique. So we're gonna peel off and make our stencil with the stickers again. And then one of my favorite things to use, you've seen me use this on here before, is using a scorch marker. What we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of just set this up in the bottom right hand or left hand corner, just whatever is your preference. And then once we've got our sticker down and we're using it as a stencil, we are gonna take our scorch marker and fill it in and get it pretty saturated. And then we'll peel back our sticker, and we are going to take a heat gun and we are going to heat it up and burn that image on. The heat guns are not very expensive to buy and they're really handy. So how easy was that to make? Something totally custom, something that somebody will really love, and it's as simple as that. You cannot go wrong with food, and one of my favorite things in the whole world is homemade bread, right? And homemade jam. What's better than a slice of homemade bread with a little bit of homemade jelly, or one or the other, it doesn't really matter. So for this next gift, we're gonna go down into the kitchen. All right, so I know some of you are probably saying to yourself, I can't make homemade bread. Well, I'm here to tell you that this recipe that I'm about to share with you, it's really hard to mess up. There's just a couple key things you need to keep in mind, and the first is water temperature. You want it to feel very warm, like bath water, but not burning. So I always like to test it on my wrist. And then also use fresh yeast. If you remember these things, the yeast will proof and it will make everything else work out. So I will link the recipe that I like to use in the description box below. But it's 2 cups of warm water and 2/3 cup of sugar and 1.5 tablespoons of yeast. Then you whisk that together and let it sit for about 5 minutes while it gets nice and frothy. It should look something like this. Then you're going to add 1/4 cup of oil. I typically use canola oil, and 1.5 teaspoons of salt. And then you're going to need 6 to 7 cups of flour, depending on where you live and what the humidity is like. And you'll kind of add this gradually. I like to start with about half up front. This is probably the trickiest part, just because you want to add enough flour so that it pulls away from things, but it's still a little sticky to the touch, but not so sticky that it sticks to your hands, and that's the key. When you achieve this, and after some kneading, you're going to pull the dough out of the mixer bowl and kind of tuck it into a nice little ball, and then grease your bowl, and then put it back into your bowl and let it rise 1 to 1.5 hours underneath a damp towel. Then you're going to punch it down and divide it into 2 sections, forming loaves. And then I place my loaves into my pans and let it rise from 30 minutes to 1 hour uncovered. While it's rising, I usually let the oven heat up to 350 degrees, and then when it's ready to go, I bake it for 30 minutes. All right, is there anything that smells better than homemade bread? I don't know, what's your favorite scent? Cookies, pie, what is it? I am a big fan of bread, and it is done. I usually butter the tops and let it cool. Since we are giving this as a gift, I thought it would be really cute to wrap it in a festive red and white striped tea towel. And then I also took some upholstery webbing that I had on hand because I thought it would add a really cute touch. And then we pinned it all on the bottom. And then for a little bit of embellishment, I took some holly and berry and hot glued that to the webbing. Now this would be really cute delivered with some fresh homemade jam or jelly as well. If possible, it would be really awesome if you could deliver this warm when the aromas are still so pungent and yummy. If you are looking for a gift of love from the heart, there's really nothing better than homemade bread on a winter's day. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, here's another one that I think you'll like as well. I've got a Cricut one coming up here real soon with one of my favorite gift ideas of the year, so you're definitely not going to want to miss that, and that's coming up in a couple of weeks. And until next time, to all of my DIY Niners, thank you so much for watching again. We'll see you soon. Bye.